And again, here we are for our every 2-month meeting. And so this time we are going to have the knowledge dissemination session, and that we do like basically every 4 months. And so this is the agenda today. So today is September 18th. And here you have, we are welcoming our moderator for the session, and Dr. Maya Prasad. She's a professor at Tata Memorial Hospital, and this is where you see she's from. And so that Maya is going to be, she's going to be moderating the session, and so she's going to be presenting our speaker today. And so thank you so much, Maya, for volunteering for this moderation. And I'm going just to go ahead and progress one more slide so you can have there your presenter.
Thank you, Miguela. Yes, thank you, and welcome everyone. We are really glad, the Supportive Care Network is really glad to have Natalie Bradford with us today to speak to us on a topic that she's done a lot of work on. Natalie, as many of you may know, is a professor in childhood cancer and palliative care epidemiology outcomes. She's in a conjoint position with Queensland University of Technology and Cancer Council Queensland in Australia. Natalie has a nursing background, a PhD and Masters in Public Health, and decades of clinical and research experience in cancer control and palliative care in children. Her research program, which we will hear about, explores the use of technology to improve outcomes at the individual, service, and systems level of health across the continuum of cancer in hospitals, homes, and communities. Natalie will present, Natalie's presentation is titled Empowering Families, Technology-Driven Support for Children with Cancer. And this presentation will explore the role of technology in improving outcomes and empowering families to enable them to be active participants in their child's care. So thank you very much, Natalie, for being a speaker today, and please go ahead.
Thank you, Maya. So will I share my slides? Let's have a look to see. Hopefully my slides are being shared. Are they?
They're good, they're good.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction, Maya, and good morning, afternoon, or evening to everybody. I'm joining you from the evening in Australia, and I'm really happy to be here today to talk about technology and empowering families of children with cancer. It is a topic close to my heart, and I want to thank the organisers of the CEOPS Supportive Care Network for the invitation today. So a little bit about me. As Maya said, I have a nursing background. I worked clinically for around 15 years as a bedside nurse delivering cancer treatment and care. And I became really interested in research as a mechanism for change in about 2010, completed my PhD in telehealth. So always had that interest in technology, and coming from Australia with our big country, that was one of the reasons why. I'm also a nursing representative on the CEOPS Scientific Committee, and really looking forward to meeting with any of you who will be attending Congress in CEOP in Amsterdam next month. So the presentation today, first of all, I'll give some context and background, and then think about exploring technology in life and health. And then I'm going to present some case studies where technology is being tested or used to empower children and families. And so some of this is my own work, but then I'm also drawing on work from Australia and around the world. And then I'll finish with some thoughts on future directions. We all know when a child is diagnosed with cancer, their whole family enters a really complex and emotionally intense healthcare journey. And this inevitably means that they will experience emotional distress, disruption to their daily life, information overload. Families have to really quickly understand complex medical information and make lots of critical decisions. They can feel a real loss of control and feel powerless in the face of illness and treatment. Isolation, when they may have to move or travel to access treatment, and they can become socially and culturally isolated. And there's also financial strain with the cost of care and travel, time off work. And despite our best intentions as healthcare providers, this often means that families can feel really disempowered in their care journey. So as part of my research, we were really wanting to look at what families need at this time, and we examined the needs of families, identifying 3 different key areas. As this first quote illustrates, supporting parents emotionally is really critical to enable them to be able to provide care for their child. And parents really spoke to us about their need for wanting more access to support, both at the hospital and in their communities. The second issue that was highlighted to us was the concern that parents had around the trauma of medical procedures and hospital environments. And these impacts can have a lasting negative effect on children, with a significant number experiencing post-traumatic stress disorder in adulthood, which is related to their cancer treatment as a child. So we need to be thinking about how we can design care that is trauma-informed and anticipate the distress to actively work to reduce it. And then the third issue was around the provision of information and education. So hospitals and health systems are really complex, and families can feel really lost and overwhelmed. So in the context of all of this, empowering families with knowledge and support can really help to reduce their stress and improve engagement with treatment. And so some of our clinical services will say to us, well, we have services and we do provide care to families at this time. So we wanted to further understand, well, what are the barriers that prevent families from feeling like they are able to access support at the right time and in the right place. And this is another study we conducted, and this was in the AYA, to the adolescent young adult population. And we found there were barriers at the person level, the service level, and at systemic levels. In terms of this, at the systemic level, we found poor integration of services and inconsistent services. So one AYA patient told us a lot of people were coming around and asking if we need help. Like, they offered lots of information, they took all the information, but they didn't end up getting back to us. At the service level, there are reports that services are not always appropriate or what people are actually looking for. And in this example, a brain tumor survivor told us that she logged on to a support website, but it wasn't what she was expecting it to be, and she didn't want to use it. And this highlights the absolute necessity of ensuring that when services are designed and developed, even things like a landing page on a website, they must be developed in consultation and with co-design with end users, so that we can be really sure we don't create barriers when we're trying to help. And then finally, at the person level, we found a lack of motivation and avoidance were barriers to accessing help. As one AYA survivor of leukemia told us, I wasn't really open to it all, so I was just sheltering. I was kind of like, come on, hurry up, let's get out of here. So these examples highlight how these barriers can further add to disempowering patients and families. And why does empowerment matter? So it's not just about improving psychological distress. It is a measurable driver of better outcomes. Ashcraft completed a systematic review of 44 different studies and found that empowered parents were more likely to recognize, report, and respond to symptoms early, leading to more timely interventions and improved symptom management. So empowerment can really foster a sense of control, which is crucial in emotionally turbulent times, like a illness of cancer diagnosis. If we can foster this empowerment with families and give them greater emotional flexibility, this can help them adapt to challenges and maintain hope. And also help families understand the why behind treatment plans, which means they might be more likely to follow through consistently. So numerous studies show that empowerment correlates with better health outcomes, reduced anxiety, and improved satisfaction with care. So it's not just about feeling better, it's really about doing better across all of those different domains. So then thinking about what do we need to foster for empowerment, and these are some pillars of empowerment, things like making sure that our communication is age appropriate and that it's honest and compassionate, providing choice and opportunities for participation, ensuring that education and information is clear and accessible and that it provides people with the knowledge they need and the skills to provide effective care. That it provides some emotional support and it's accessible, and that services foster respect, providing care that is tailored to cultural, spiritual, or personal values, recognizing diversity. And so how can we do all of this with technology? Technology can really be a bridge to empowerment when it's thoughtfully integrated into care. We can use it to transform how children and families engage with their healthcare journey and use it in a variety of ways for things like navigating the health system, accessing and exchanging information, communicating. This could be about symptoms or providing feedback, and certainly for emotional well-being and decision-making, it can play a role there. But technology doesn't just happen by itself. We really need to harness the knowledge and expertise and resources to develop innovative solutions that solve problems and improve efficiency, delivering value. It's only when we bring all of those things together that we can really see how we can use technology as a new tool in a system or process and bring about advancements or breakthroughs in different fields. So the intention is a wide range of benefits, and we can see all of those on the slide there. Ultimately, we do want to see how we can use technology to improve quality of life through empowerment and engagement with families. And we've seen technology revolutionize many aspects of our own daily life. So it's almost ubiquitous now that we've got on-demand services like Uber and Didi and Airtasker, giving us services when we want. In our smartphones, we've got our banking, we use WhatsApp. We have AI assistants like ChatGPT and Google Assistants in our home. And we're using technology for shopping, things like Amazon or grocery delivery, wearables and Fitbits. These are all daily parts of our life now. And then, things like Zoom, so how we're connecting today and being able to use technology to host webinars and record them and share information across the world. And then when it comes to entertainment, technology's changed the way we do that as well. We use Spotify and Netflix in different ways to access entertainment in different ways. But when it comes to healthcare, technology in healthcare isn't as sleek as we would like it to be, and it's not as sleek as some of the pictures would tell us. And that's really because healthcare is so highly complex. Hospitals and clinics are operating in a constant state of urgency. And the technology that we've seen come into our healthcare systems has really focused on aspects that we need to keep our healthcare environment safe. So things like electronic medical records, medication management, rostering systems, all of these types of technologies are not patient-centric. In fact, patients are really treated more as sources of data and considered end users. They're not considered as end users the same way that consumers would be seen in other areas of our life. And then when we think about the data sources that we have got in our health systems, they're fragmented, and it means we can't always share data easily. So we might have an electronic health record, and we might have a patient who wants to input data into that, and we don't have systems that where that can happen easily. There are constraints around funding, risk management, regulatory requirements, and all of these things are very necessary to ensure privacy and security. But it means that rather than empowering patients and families, the technologies that we're using in healthcare perpetuate a paternalistic model of healthcare and don't really wrap around a holistic model of care supporting families. So our expectation of technology in healthcare doesn't sort of match up with our reality. While we have technology everywhere, it's disconnected from what families really need to feel empowered and informed. And patients might experience technology more as machines that are going beep in the night rather than holistic care. But that's not to saying that it isn't happening. And I do want to give some examples where we are using technology to support and empower families, meeting those needs and gaps in care that I described earlier. So I've got a few examples to go through. First of all, I just want to give some definitions because there are different ways of understanding and defining different technologies. So when I'm talking about telehealth, I'm talking about that being the two-way exchange of communication between clinicians and patients to deliver healthcare services. And so this can be a standard consultation, maybe to deliver diagnosis or treatment or to provide some education. But in this definition, telehealth is used to provide healthcare, standard healthcare that we would otherwise provide face-to-face, but providing it in a different way using technology. So it relies on that ability to communicate between clinicians, patients, and families. And that's different to digital health solutions, which are the use of digital tools and platforms that enable exchange of information or decision-making, but they might not happen in real time, and they might not involve actual communication. So they can be used to supplement care or provide information, but not always to replace a healthcare interaction. So in Australia, we do love telehealth. And this picture of Australia and with Europe on the inside of it gives you a little clue as to why. When you look at the size of Australia compared to Europe, you can see Australia is more than twice the size of Europe, but our population is much, much less. We have around 26.7 million people compared with Europe that has 747 million. And when you look at that on a graph, you know, that's even more, you can see that even clearer. Australia has just 3.6 of the population of Europe, and yet our population is spread over twice the land mass. This means our healthcare is really centralized in major cities, yet around 50% of our population does live outside of the major cities. And this means that when a family is diagnosed with cancer, they must travel to a major city to access care. And that means long travel distance, hundreds of thousands of kilometres. And given the complexity of treatment, some families are required to relocate and to stay in the city during treatment. Fragmented communication then also occurs when we do want to send families back home to their local hospital. So these challenges leave families feeling isolated and disempowered. So we've been using telehealth in Queensland, where I live. The state of Queensland is in the map there up in the grey. Queensland is there in gold, and you can see the hospital where I'm based, the Queensland Children's Hospital, that's marked in the little red icon there. And then in the map in green, in the bottom part of the slide there, you can see Queensland enlarged. In blue are the regional hospitals that we connect regularly with. So Queensland's a large state. From the distance from the top to the bottom is over 2,000 kilometres. It's not a lot less from the east to the west. So in my PhD studies over 15 years ago now, we explored how we could use telehealth, both with those hospital networks, so those hospitals in blue, and also into families' homes. And now, since we've had the COVID pandemic, we're all a lot more familiar with using telehealth. But right back, 10, 20 years ago, we're looking at how we could use that to connect families and make sure that we could deliver safe care as close as home to possible. We use secure video conferencing standardly in our children's cancer care for multidisciplinary team reviews, follow-ups, and also for checking chemotherapy administration as a complement to in-person care at the local hospital. And this means we can allow some families who live in our regional and rural areas to access full oncology and support teams without needing to leave their community. So this ensures continuity and timely input and flexibility for the family, and the benefits are clear. It means they don't need to travel as far as often. That reduces the financial burden, and it means that they're back at home in their community while still receiving high standard care. It means also that we're more likely to see them turn up for their treatment, and we've got more frequent touch points with the coordinating clinical team. As well as supporting the family for providing sort of in-person care, we use telehealth to provide education for regional clinicians and make sure that we can provide that high quality, safe, consistent care for children no matter where they're living. So some of the clinicians do come down regularly to the Queensland Children's Hospital and receive hands-on experience and skills training, and then we provide them with support through telehealth education when they go back to their regional areas. We also have clinical pathways that have been developed and leadership sort of structures to make sure that safety and quality are maintained regardless of location. You can see on the screen there an example of chemotherapy administration checking via video conference. This means that we're able to provide that extra layer of support to our regional communities who might not be as familiar with giving some of these treatments in a regular capacity. Generally, over a year, we would have 3,000 occasions of service delivered this way, and around 300 chemotherapy administrations are delivered each year outside of the Queensland Children's Hospital, supported by this type of model of care. And now onto digital health interventions and thinking about, how we're using those. And we've got emerging evidence for the use of digital health interventions in our children's cancer care. I wanted to highlight Dr. Lauren Ha, who's the CEOP Oceania Rising Star for 2025. So Lauren's PhD looked at how we could be delivering physical activity support through digital health interventions. Her PhD studied and tested the feasibility of telehealth delivered physical activity program for children with cancer. And this has been expanded now into making moves in another trial where they augment sort of the telehealth delivered with internet interventions, which the child and family can access in their own time as well. Similarly, also promoting physical activity for childhood cancer is Dr. David Mizrahi's study, the MERIA trial. And this is a 12-week program. It includes a mix of strength, cardiovascular balance, and play-based activities, and it's delivered fully online so that families can also participate in their own homes. It's designed to be adaptable. It takes into account the child's age, their physical limitations, interests and goals, and their energy levels. And the goal is to make physical activity movement feel safe, achievable, and even fun for children after they've had a cancer diagnosis, no matter where they might be living. I thought I would just take the opportunity to share with you David's promotional video that he has for his trial, which is kicking off. It's just a 2-minute or about a 90-second video, which I'll play, hopefully.
Hi, did you know that being active can help you feel better and stronger? After a cancer diagnosis, your body might need a little extra care, and movement is safe and can help in amazing ways. Physical activity, like playing in the park, going for walks, and dancing, helps your body recover, feel less tired, and even sleep better. It also helps our heart stay strong and gives us a brain boost. It's not about running a marathon. It's about having fun while helping your muscles and bones stay strong. Staying active can make you feel happier and have more confidence in yourself. There are many fun ways to be active, with friends, family, alone, or with your furry friends. Every step counts, and a little bit of movement each day can make a big difference. So, let's start small and get moving together.
So yeah, it's just a nice example of how we're seeing technology move into that supportive care space and offer interventions to families, no matter where they might be living. So we're excited to see how those trials play out. Another intervention that I wanted to just highlight that we're using here in Australia is an app called Gather My Crew. It's been designed to streamline social support. It's been creating sort of change through simple acts of helping and caring. So it's been developed with an evidence-based framework to simplify the process of asking for and offering help so that families and friends or neighbours or colleagues can support a family when they're in need, whether that's with transport or meals or providing childcare or groceries or walking the dog, anything that's needed. And their impact is making a real difference across Australia, where we do have difficulty with, finding paid caregivers to assist families. So this impact's made a huge difference over 350,000 hours of delivering care, over 100 hours of education sessions, and they estimate that this has saved around $17.5 million. So a really useful and practical way of just using an app to connect people with people that want to help and the people that need help. Also in the psychosocial space, Canteen, which is our charity here that provides peer-to-peer connection primarily for teenagers who are affected by cancer. It offers peer-to-peer support through virtual networks, and this has been evaluated in several publications. I've just highlighted one here from Ursula Sampson-Daly's team. So Canteen is a group that provide also face-to-face connection, but given so many people are scattered across different areas of Australia, being able to do this in a virtual way is also really beneficial. And then I wanted to highlight Balance, which is a new online program that we've just had funded, which we have gone through a process of co-design with young people. It's been developed for young people to help them recover and feel confident after cancer treatment. So it delivers psychoeducation to tackle physical health, mental well-being, or just trying to figure out life after treatment. And it's designed to provide young cancer survivors with the tools, support, and know-how to move forward with their life after cancer. This is a trial, so it includes an 8-week program. There are 13 different interactive educational modules, 3 one-on-one wellbeing coaching sessions, access to the online support community, that's the Canteen peer support community, a journaling and action planning feature. And so we'll be testing this in a hybrid implementation trial that we're currently recruiting to at the moment. So I'll look forward to reporting back on how that trial goes. Moving on to virtual reality, we know that virtual reality is it can be a really helpful tool in pediatric oncology. So it can be used to distract during painful procedures or to prepare children for unfamiliar environments, or maybe to support rehabilitation through different interactive games. And rather than talk about some of the work we've been doing here in Australia, I wanted to just highlight the work of Isan Savas, who was awarded the CEOP Hans Wagner Award in 2024. So Isan's project explored combining virtual reality with biofeedback, and I thought this was really novel. We know that controlling breathing with slow inhalation and exhalation can help to really reduce levels of anxiety. So Isan's concept was to explore how to combine regulated breathing as a technique for managing anxiety during procedures like port needling with virtual reality. And this is innovative because usually virtual reality is just used as a distraction tool alone. But this study can really, I suppose, be used to help teach that young person how to regulate their breathing, and in that way equip them with the skills that they can then use independently of the headset, promoting psychological well-being. So I think it's got, lots of potential. The intervention involved participants using the virtual reality headset and wearing an accelerometer that measured their respiratory rates and interacted with the virtual reality game. And the user's participation was activated by their slow breathing, which controlled the animations in 2 different scenes. So in this underwater scene, the game starts with waters and bubbles, and then when the user breathes slowly and deeply, fish and other marine life sort of start swimming into the scene. And then similarly, in another scene, in the garden scene, the user starts with an empty scene, and then when they breathe slowly, it starts to populate the garden with flowers and other things. So the findings from Eason's trial found that this was had high usability, really positive feedback. It did reduce pain. It significantly reduced fear and anxiety. Importantly, there were no negative side effects. No additional time or workforce was needed to use this in practice. And so that virtual reality has that real ability to immerse a child in that interactive experience, but combining it with that biofeedback to regulate breathing really has the potential to look at how we can use this in routine children's cancer care to reduce that procedural anxiety. I then wanted to take the opportunity to highlight Exploro. So I've been following Exploro's work now for, I suppose, around 5 years. It's a clinically validated digital health platform, and it was designed by a dad whose child went through a cancer experience, and he, I suppose, has used his skills as a computer scientist to develop this platform, and it's now been clinically validated. It empowers children and adolescents by providing age-appropriate, engaging and interactive health education, and was created specifically to address that procedural anxiety and to improve health literacy for young patients when they're undergoing medical procedures or treatments. And it's been called a digital front door. Through stories, 3D environments, games, and other interactive educational content, the young patients can get a better idea of what a healthcare experience might be and help them to become active participants in their healthcare journey. And I've got a little video just highlighting how Exploro works. This one goes for about 2 minutes, but I think it's worth watching because I think this also is really quite innovative. So the features of Exploro includes an app for the child where they create and interact with their augmented reality avatar, and that explains their cancer treatment and the hospital process. There's interactive storybooks, ability to explore the hospital, a chatbot where the child can ask questions, and these are answered using natural language processing models that have a database of clinically approved answers. There's gamification to help the child understand medical concepts, and a calendar and mood diary. And then there's a parent app for oversight and support, and a management portal for clinicians to track engagement and collect feedback. Clinicians can also assign missions that might be things like some education activities. There can be a teach back quiz, and there's also the ability to collect patient reported outcomes and generate reports with the app. There have been numerous benefits that have been published in a couple of studies that you can see here. The benefits include for the patient things like improved health literacy and confidence, reduced anxiety, improved psychological well-being, improved satisfaction and experience. And for healthcare organisations, benefits are also numerous. Things like improved efficiency, reduced clinician time, it supports quality activities, patient education standards, and the ability to use data to drive improvements, as well as promoting health equity. Importantly, Exploro is available in multiple different languages. It's used in the USA, in Europe, in Africa and Asia, and it's supported by World Child Cancer. So its use is, really has a great potential to be used in a lot of different settings. It can be customized and is able to integrate with the IMR. So I think that that's an exciting technology that really does speak to empowering that child. Mobile health apps are another sort of technology similar to the Exploro. I just wanted to take the opportunity to just talk about an app that we tried to have up and running at the hospital where I work. So my team developed the response symptom management system with our hospital. And the app had a lot of different features, one of which was symptom monitoring. And we know as more cancer care is delivered in ambulatory settings, increasingly parents have to take responsibility for managing their child's symptoms. And so we were really keen to see if we could use an app to support a family with symptom self-management outside of the hospital environment. And we know that patient-reported outcomes are increasingly something that is getting increasing traction in children's cancer care. And there's high-level evidence in randomized controlled trials in adult cancer that using patient-reported outcomes in clinical practice has a lot of benefits for patients, clinicians, and health services. At the patient level, a reduction in symptom burden, even survival benefits in lung cancer have been reported. Clinicians report improved communication with patients, and at the health service level, a decrease in hospital admissions and emergency presentations. So lots of good reasons to try to use them and incorporate them into clinical practice, but there are also lots of barriers that make that quite difficult. Some of the barriers in pediatrics have been around having an appropriate measure to use, and so the uptake and the growth has been slower. But the potential to improve symptom management is really important. And so we were quite keen for the response project to see if we could pull this off. We use the Speedy tool, which is a 15-item symptom response, symptom bother scale. We validated it in Australia and needed to just change a few words, and we piloted with over 100 different families. The concept of our app was to normalise the use of reporting symptoms, using the app, providing a common language between families and clinicians. And this values that child and family experience, empowers them with information and knowledge as partners in healthcare. We had an algorithm that sat in the back of Speedy that was clinically actionable. So the algorithm would determine the recommendation that was provided once a patient or the caregiver completed the symptom survey, escalating to clinical contact where warranted. So we used a traffic light system with green, amber, and red, which was determined based upon the algorithm. Green was low concern, amber, medium concern. The recommendation was to discuss the symptoms at the next clinical visit or when convenient. And red indicated immediate concern, and the user was advised to call the clinical team immediately for advice. And we also had in the app evidence-based symptom management recommendations. Feedback was really positive. This boy told us, answering questions about my symptoms makes me feel more secure about how I'll be treated in the future. However, despite all of the positive feedback that we had and the potential of the app, unfortunately, when our hospital changed its service provider for managing information and communication, we lost the app. We were collateral damage in that. And this really highlights the important challenge with technology and healthcare. The complexity of technology and the system fragmentation meant that we weren't able to replicate our app with the new provider. There are other challenges with technology in healthcare, and all of these limit our ability to fully integrate technology for that benefit of the patient and family empowerment. And I've showcased today a number of different examples of technology use in healthcare, but the reality is that many of these remain as projects, and despite the demonstrated feasibility and efficacy, they're not integrated into systems at scale. For technology to really be effective, it has to be embedded into our standard care pathways and not just offered as an additional add-on. Innovation in healthcare requires consideration of the complexity of the system, our clinical workflow patterns, and data security. I really think that with the evolving expectation in society and families wanting to be partners in healthcare rather than recipients of healthcare, we will see more opportunities to embed technology that works for patients and families as well as for clinicians. And I think, with the finance and structural pressures on health systems, we will see that demand coming through. We'll see new models of incorporating technology that will hopefully address equity issues and reduce pressure. We might see technologies like AI predicting symptom flares before they occur, or digital care plans in real time, personalised data-informed interventions that support well-being. These things will continue to evolve, but all will need implementation science to evaluate and integrate these scales. Integrate these interventions. So technology is a really powerful enabler, and we've seen today examples of how it can improve access to care through telehealth, how platforms are being used to deliver physical activity and psychological and health behaviour interventions. We've looked at examples of virtual reality and biofeedback, the Exploro platform, the potential of apps, and these tools have got the ability to improve health equity and promote health literacy to empower families. So future innovations need to continue to prioritise these. And as healthcare professionals, I encourage us all to embrace and advocate for these tools to be integrated into practice to enhance patient and family experiences. Thank you for your time, and welcome any questions.
Thank you so much, Natalie. It was an excellent talk. I'm sure all of us who were listening on this meeting really benefited from the talk. And you've really shown us how technology can be used in so many ways to empower and make life easier for our patients and their families. We'll now, I think we have already have a few questions in the chat box. And I would encourage all of you to put in more questions and also raise your hands if you have any questions. And I just wanted to answer one question, which was about the recording of this webinar. All the SIOP webinars are recorded, and after, I think editing takes a couple of days. So I'm sure by the beginning of next week, this recording will be available on the SIOP YouTube channel. We'll probably take some questions. Telma, if you're still there, would you like to ask Natalie your question?
Hi, Natalie. My question was if you use on a daily basis proms and prems with technology or without the technology you showed to us. How can you motivate people, parents and young adults and adolescents to do that?
Use them, yes. Yeah, so at the hospital where I am associated with, there is great interest in doing that, but we have a lot of problems with the technology. So our app was our our attempt to overcome that. We don't yet have a way of patients entering things that will directly go into the medical records. I think that technology will change. In other parts of Australia and New South Wales, for example, they are moving towards that. And one of my colleagues is, in their health system, they are moving to a system where there's more a portal where a family could enter a prom or a prem, and that would go into the record. I think one of the challenges is that if families, if somebody enters something, they're expecting somebody to respond to it. And as busy clinicians, we don't always have the capacity to do that.
I understand.
So there's that real tension, if they think that they might have reported, I've got a high pain score, but there's not necessarily somebody sitting at the computer on the other end ready to respond to that. So we need to have all of those, there's a big systems kind of issue there.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Natalie, and thanks, Telma. Remzi, would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, thank you, Maya. And first of all, thank you, Natalie, for the comprehensive presentation. I really like and to honor your presentation. Um, it's really so challenge to integrate all of this digital tool in the clinical setting. Yeah, this is just the challenge maybe for me. Do you have any recommendation for the sustainability this digital tool? And based on my experience, the children pediatric oncology patient is the most motivated to use all of this digital tool. But the healthcare provider is the just thinking this is the burden, the additional burden for them, and this is one of the barrier. Do you have any suggestion to motivate the healthcare provider to use it? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ramsey. And I think, yes, my last couple of slides in the talk sort of spoke to that. There is that real challenge and there's that real tension where we've got busy hospitals, busy clinicians, and they're used to their technology being there to provide the clinical care, and there's just less of a focus on how we could also be using technology to support children and families and to support their healthcare journey. I think our hospitals still have got a real focus on treating the cancer and providing the necessary medical care to manage their condition, and there is less of a focus on the supportive care aspects of the child's emotional well-being, or the way that we can reduce procedural anxiety. Those sorts of things just take less of a focus, and I think until we can get some more evidence to demonstrate how important it is, we'll continue to have this challenge. So we need to bring all of our healthcare friends along the journey with us, and also get them to recognize the importance of supportive care for children and families.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Natalie, and thanks, Ramsey. Milka has a question as well. Milka, do you want to?
Yes, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes.
No, I was just wondering, based on your experience, what are the typical costs associated with the development and the implementation of a tool like this? Would you consider the cost to be relatively minimum, especially if it's a software that needs to be implemented, that they may have to pay, the hospitals may have to pay a licensing fee? Just wanted to know what's your experience, especially for those countries that are with limited resources.
Yes, yeah. So something like the Explorer app, that is something that you do need to have a license for. But Explorer are partnering with the World Child Cancer Fund, and they are funding, several different versions of it in lower middle income countries, which is a great initiative. I think the costs of some of these things, though, when you compare it with the cost of the rest of healthcare that's provided, it is a lot smaller. Some of the just keeping somebody in a hospital bed alone can really cost so much. If we were able to use some of these technologies to get people out of hospital sooner, to keep people at home, to support them in their home environment, I think that that we wouldn't find these technologies as cost prohibitive. But certainly we need to think about how we deliver value-based care and how we measure the costs and the value of implementing these things. I think most of all of these projects have been delivered in the context of a research project. So, they come along with research funding to maybe develop, to test them, maybe to trial them in an implementation trial, but sustaining them in practice is that's the big challenge. And for that, we really need to demonstrate their value.
Miguela has a question as well. Miguela, would you like to go next?
Yes, thank you so much, Natalie. I learned a lot. So, these children usually come with their families. And so, could you comment, the participation and contribution of the families in the utilization of these tools? And I could see already that family also might come with a lot of anxiety. If they are encouraged to use this tool, how will be their level of anxieties?
Yeah, so I think it's really important that any new intervention is developed with the child and family's input. And we saw that in a number of our different interviews when we were talking about some of the resources that were out there, and we were asking, well, why don't you access these? Why don't you use them? And families, they won't if it doesn't meet their needs. So even simple things that we take for granted, some of the language that we use, some of the ways that we talk about, the cancer treatments, those things can put a family off if it's not framed in the right way. So it is really important to partner with families and make sure that they're included in the design of things so that they do, they are appropriate and they meet their needs.
Thanks, Natalie. Finally, I would like to ask you if any of these apps are available for wider use. And I mean, yeah, that is what I wanted to ask. If we could, just download them off any Play Store.
Yes, yeah, they are indeed. And there's in the reference list, I didn't show that up on the screen, but I have got a reference list of the papers where these things have come from. And yeah, a lot of the things are available. It's then just whether they're going to be suitable for the particular context of the different healthcare settings.
Right. So I think we've reached, the top of the hour. So, and I think all of us really enjoyed this session. Thanks, Natalie. I'll now hand over to Miguela to wrap up the session.
Okay, so again, thank you so much to Dr. Natalie Bradford. And Maya, I hope that I'm seeing the right slide.
No, I don't think these are the right slides, Miguela.
It needs to be swapped around.
Okay, thank you. And with this, actually, like, I'm so proud to say that we concluded speaker from around the world, basically. So at the beginning of this year, we have Laura Linder, who talk about vascular access, and then we have Dr. Asilan Özkan from Turkey, who talk about the CP project, which was so exciting project also. And now we conclude with Natalie Bradford, Empowering Families, a technology-driven support for children with cancer. And again, this is just to showcase what we do in the supportive care group, trying to disseminate the knowledge. And so, this is our activity, and I know we have not concluded the year yet. So next month we are going to be in, hopefully a lot of us in Amsterdam. And the following month in November will be our last meeting of the every 2-month meeting. And we hope that we will see you. So this is usually our schedule. So we have every 2-month meeting. So the next meeting is going to be November 20th, where we talk about progress report. There's a lot of very exciting reports of research going on, project going on. And then our next year, first knowledge dissemination session will be January 16th. Please, if you're part of this network, provide topics. And that way we make arrangement with the speakers. And just to finish, just to let you know that it's a beautiful season with flowers. This is morning glory and this is aster, especially wild aster are so beautiful. All the bees are over there, so just take some time. This is also part of the supportive care for us. Just enjoy nature, enjoy flower. And these 2 flowers are the flower of the month of September. So I hope that you have a fantastic rest of your day or night. And so again, many thanks to our speaker and everybody who came here. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.